Hi, thank you for joining us on our 4th episode of our podcast, Welcome to Livingston. My name is Angela Putkela.
And I'm Don Putkela.
And this is our podcast, Welcome to Livingston. So today's episode, we are focusing on a great local business called Cocina de Ebright. And we have its owner, Justin Ebright, here to join us. And just a great business model. So why don't you go ahead and start us off by telling us what you do.
Well, first, thanks. This is pretty cool. I've been next door 100 times, but never here. So, yeah, Cocina de Ebright is just a personal chef business. It's nothing more than that. We come into your home and we cook and we make the great food and we serve it there. We clean it. I don't clean it, but we clean the kitchen, and we'll do everything from shopping for the food to actually cooking, doing the butler service while we're there. So if it's serving drinks, pouring drinks, we'll go ahead and do that while the dishes actually cook, and then while you're eating and while we have a break in the action, we'll actually clean the kitchen for you, and we're out. So yeah, you don't have to do a single thing.
No, you have to eat.
Yeah,
you just eat. Yeah,
you just got to tell me what you want.
Right. No, I mean, we were really excited about this because Angela told me about your business, and it's a unique concept that isn't a unique concept at the same time. So it's just so interesting, and I feel that in the times we're in and such, it's even more impactful because what a great opportunity to have someone come into your house, use your kitchen. And cook amazing food that maybe you couldn't cook yourself.
Well, that's absolutely, and that's kind of a double-edged sword with the pandemic going on too, is that you've got some people who this fits really well with because they don't want to be out in public. And then you have other people go, I don't want you in my house. But I think it's more of the former, that they love the fact that they don't have to be in public. They can invite whoever they want, and they can go on to host their party in any way, shape, or form while we do the cooking in the background. So
right, and I think that's one of the biggest things, because I know we have parties, where, so I do most of the cooking, or almost all the cooking, right?
Yes, I like to joke I'm culinarily impaired.
Right, and
I don't like to cook, but Don's fabulous.
I find that so often I spend my entire time in the kitchen, and I'm running in and out, and then, getting the dinner ready and such, and I never get the opportunity to talk to other people.
That's exactly right. Yep.
Yep. So, how does it work then? How do you go about this?
Well, it all starts with a consultation. I mean, you have to find somebody who's looking for these kind of services. Referral marketing is huge. We get in that way by either individual parties, anniversaries, weddings, whatever it might be. We don't do anything more than 25 people. We kind of pride ourselves in being a very small service, intimate service where we can really do what we need to do without a lot of the chaos in the background. So, and then, based on that consultation that we find with somebody, we'll find exactly what you want, what the menu looks like. We'll create that menu for you, and then we'll do the shopping. We actually go out and do the shopping for you, so you never even have to wait in line at the grocery store. We'll do the shopping. If we need to prepare anything ahead of time, we can handle that. But again, we're not a catering service, so it's not like we make everything and then transport it to your house. Probably 95% of what we do is done at your place. So
seems like that would be fun to watch and check out.
It can be, yeah. And we also have, we'll do the teaching as well. So it's a little bit of an added service, and it can be a little limited because you can only fit so many people around the stove or around the center island, right, as we like to call it. So
yeah, how often do you find that they're in the kitchen watching what you're doing?
Maybe half the time.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's really funny because I almost feel bad charging, because sometimes you're making stuff and people just naturally kind of congregate around the kitchen.
Right.
So why'd you do that? And so
putting on a show.
Yeah. So you end up talking about how you're cooking anyway.
Right.
But there are just some things I don't like to give out, like the secrets to the sauce.
Right.
Yeah. Right. That's kind of private stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. But other stuff, yeah. We'll give a little tips and tricks. And a lot of what we do, there's nothing rocket sciencey about it. I mean, Italian food is pretty basic. It truly is in the sauce. If you have a nice, good sauce base, which we do, three or four different sauces. Then it all kind of comes together after that, and noodles are pretty easy to make.
Okay.
You do get, every now and then you get the lady that says, oh, those are crunchy noodles. No, they're al dente.
Right.
So you have to explain that.
Yeah.
Why we do that.
Right. Now, when you do a consultation, do you find that most people, they have an idea of this is what I want, or are you kind of walking them through of like, this is what makes up a great dinner party?
You know, and I think it's both. I think a lot of people come in with preconceived ideas of what they want that party to look like. And the other thing is that sometimes it falls a little bit more on budget. We just ask you to buy the food and you pay us by the hour. So knowing that, sometimes the lobster dinner becomes, a spaghetti dinner. So yeah, right. So, but yeah, there are people who come in that have that party planning mentality. I know what I want, and this is how we want to do it. A lot of times, if you come in, so anything over 6 people, we have to bring a sous chef in with us. And then pretty much at the 10 mark, it gets even more intense from that. So they'll sit with 8 or 10 people and go, well, I want this. And I'm like, I've only got 2 hands. So we have to go to the next level. We have to bring somebody else in. So that's why the consultation is 100% important. We have to really kind of hash this thing out. And if we're serving appetizers, or again, if we're cracking champagne or keeping the wine flowing, quote unquote, then we have to know that. And we're willing to do that. That's not a big deal for us.
Sounds like it's about managing expectations. So
100%. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's a great way to do it. So what dish is the fan favorite? What does everybody love the most?
So my wife will tell you, and everybody will, well, so far everybody tells us, is the meatballs. We've got a pretty darn good meatball, and you can make them different sizes to fit different dishes. Meatballs and sauce look different than finger food and meatballs. They're completely different, but they're made the same way. So, and they're pretty good. So I think that's probably the fan favorite. But being Italian, again, it's how do you spin a noodle? From lemon spaghetti to a puttanesca to to just your standard. Again, my wife calls. Lady and the Tramp meatballs.
Oh,
we all remember Lady and the
yeah.
Tramp. That's where that came from, and it just kind of morphed from there. And the meatballs just ended up being wow type of thing.
Right.
So,
wow.
Yeah. So we just kind of kept it going.
That's really good. So one of the questions I thought about asking with when people come in, do you find that people are asking for dishes that they sometimes make themselves, or are they asking for something new that they're like, hey, I want to experience something?
So to keep it simple, the rule is you have to go to our Instagram page, Cocina de Ebright Instagram page, and anything on there we'll make for you.
Okay.
If it's off of there, then it takes a deeper consultation. It's not that we can't cook it, but most of the Italian dishes that we do make reside there. So, and there are some morphed things, like I don't have big giant shells sitting, stuffed shells and stuff like that. But again, the noodle, it's all in the sauce. So we can change the noodle with lots of good cheese and make different things. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Great. So in terms of when you do that grocery shopping, do you do it locally here?
We do. Yeah. We try to keep it, real local as much as possible. I grew up in Oakland County, so there was a lot of little teeny shops out there that we were used to frequenting. So it's a little harder in Livingston County. That's one of the things I think I like the best about it, is because you get that up north feel here a lot of places, at least where I live, and I love that. So you escape the concrete jungle, as we call it at home, and it's a good feeling here. So finding that little niche is a little bit tougher. I found, can we use shameless plugs here? I found that I found that Bush's has a great cheese selection, and that helps us out a lot. Right, it really does. Yeah, Kroger only gives you so much. Meijer only gives you so much, but Bush's got some mean cheese.
Right, and I find some of those small shops and some of the things here, that you go to a place, you're like, I love getting this item from this shop. So, I know that I do a lot of that myself. So
different items you buy from different places.
Yes.
Depending on.
Yep.
Oh, absolutely. And that's the thing. We'll sit down and do a consultation, and there may be a 6-stop shop just based on the items that you're going to need. So I have a buddy who, one of my best friends, he grows basil. It is unbelievable. It is chest high basil.
Oh my
And it sits in this little, I mean, I don't know how he does it, but so I'm like, dude, I need some basil, you know, and I'm always getting fresh basil through the summertime. And, you know, that's the other thing is that fresh spices, when we do it, the herbs and spices is, you cannot replace. I mean, there's a difference between fresh basil and dried basil. If you don't know, you should know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So what type of people then do you think your business appeals to?
You know, I think mostly anybody who doesn't have time, and / who really wants to host the party. We've all been there where you have, oh my God, I got 15 people coming. How am I going to visit with X?
Honestly.
And you can't put it together in your head. And that's really where we come into play. So whether that's a birthday party, an anniversary, some kind of milestone party, or even a wedding. We've done small weddings. We did a 25-person wedding a couple months ago that went over real good, and chicken piccata, real good.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, you know, we were
hungry.
we were talking yesterday, and I think one of the really appealing things, even to us, is, you know, if we're going to go out with 2 other couples and we're going to go out to a nice restaurant, you know, between the 6 people at the restaurant, we're going to drop a pretty penny. You know, how nice would that be to sit down with you and instead of looking at a menu someplace saying, okay, we get to pre-pick what the menu is. It's going to be right here at the house where we feel very comfortable. And then we're able to hold an intimate dinner party. So, you know, I think that is a huge appeal to that.
100%. And we generally, we pride ourselves in, you know, when we say dinner's on at 6, we say give us 10 minutes either way, but dinner's on at 6, you know, so that's another thing too, is, you know, you can plan your party to get to where you are in time to make the party, and you don't have to worry about sitting around and waiting around. So yeah.
Or cleaning up, right?
Or cleaning up, yeah. Now we have had parties, and I think we were talking about this yesterday, where you know, you tell them in the consultation, well, listen, the kitchen has to be clean, and then, you know, when we leave, you're not going to have to clean a mess. We went into a party where we got there and the kitchen was, it was a disaster. It really was. I mean, we had to clean the kitchen to cook and then clean the kitchen. That's one thing we don't like to do. So there's an extra charge for that.
Got you.
Which makes sense. Yeah. You know, I couldn't even imagine.
Yeah.
Right. So, you know, and we're going to talk about it later, but it's coming up right now. Like, I'm thinking about it. So one of the questions I have is, you're going into these kitchens to cook an elaborate meal. You know, it's part of the consultation. Sometimes, is this kitchen able to accommodate what you want, what they want cooked?
And that's a great question, because a lot of people say, well, consultations, do you guys just kind of meet in a mutual space? No, we meet at your space, because we have to address those concerns. I mean, generally, we like to cook with your cookware. We do bring knives and some very special stuff that chefs bring. But I mean, I'm not going to lug around pasta pans. I mean, you got to have a pasta pan, right? So if you don't have a pasta pan, and then if you're really trying to cook dishes like the aforementioned, the chicken piccata, if you're doing chicken piccata on an electric stove flat top compared to, gas, I mean, it cooks different. It cooks very differently. So you've got to understand those things going in, because you could have to allot for time for that as well.
Right.
It could be a time issue.
I got you.
Yeah.
Seems like that would be very, very tricky to kind of.
It can be. Yeah, it absolutely can be. Yeah, we talked about, you can't have you can't have one of those cast iron skillets and kind of shake it over a glass top stove. That doesn't really work real well.
Yep. Because, you know, one of the things we talked about yesterday, I think, to just speak to this point of people saying, you know, I can't cook this dish, or I don't know how to cook this dish, or what I have doesn't accommodate for this dish. You know, how is what you're doing able to address that or overcome that for people?
You know, and I think that's the problem. So in my former life, I was always accused of giving so much stuff away. My bookkeeper would always tell me, you know, you give too much away. Why aren't you charging for that? Well, it's kind of the same thing when we get into the kitchen. You can't help really but teach. I mean, you want to charge that extra $100 to teach the class, but really you don't. You just, everybody can cook. The problem is that somewhere along the line you burnt a grilled cheese or something. You just decided I can't cook, right? It really is about just educating people to get out. Rachel Ray used to have the 30-minute meals.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And those were phenomenal and easy to follow, and they made great dishes, and they turned people who said I can't cook into oh, hey, I can actually do this for my family. And that's what we kind of like to pride ourselves in, is that, you know, you really can make this. You just got to sit and put some time into it. It's like anything else. Now, the one thing you won't be able to do is make my sauce. I keep talking about that, but yeah, I won't teach you how to make my sauce.
Right.
That's okay. Everybody needs to.
You got to do
make
your
their
own
own
sauce. That's right.
Right,
yeah.
but I think there's a difference with the hands-on, because, you know, I've had dishes before where I'm looking up a recipe, and then, you know, a section comes where like, okay, I think I understand this, but I'm doing it differently than what the sentence says on there. Or you're watching the same YouTube 6 times going, okay, I missed something because this does not look like what they said. Having that hands-on helps.
Oh, absolutely it does. Yeah. I meant those kind of, you know, when you're teaching the dish, you can give those notes that you're not going to see in a recipe. A lot of times we all look at, oh, it's only 10 steps, but really there's 6 over here, 6 steps that you're not going to know unless you've cooked this dish before, or you've seen somebody cook this dish before, because those side notes can be every bit as important as the actual steps.
Right, exactly. I mean, you know, so one of the dishes that I cook is it's a salmon that has a maple glaze on it. Yeah. And we were in Alaska, what, 20 years ago?
It's been a long time, yeah.
So we went to a salmon bake in Alaska, and I loved it. It took me like 3 years to figure out how to make it close to the flavor of what they had there. So I understand.
And it's okay. And see, that's the thing. 3 years to make a salmon. I mean, the meatballs and the sauce didn't happen overnight. You know, it came from growing up in an Italian family, and always, you know, my family doesn't make sauce the way I do. They like to use a lot of pork. I'm okay with the pork, but not so much. So you've got to do some different things, and, you know, eliminate salt and stuff like that. So it doesn't happen overnight. Menus just don't. Even though we've started this about 2 years ago, you know, we've really been cooking it for it's probably 10 at least. Yeah.
So years in the making.
Yeah, it really is. You know, the other day somebody says, well, where's your menu? You know, how do you keep flip books? And we used to keep this manila envelope, my wife and I swear it had to have been 10 inches thick with just sheets of recipes. So I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I know there has to be a better way. So we ended up putting everything on Dropbox. So everything is in the cloud now. And I looked the other day, and there's got to be 200 recipes in Dropbox. Yeah, it's pretty intense, but not all of that makes the list. Again, if you go to you go to our Instagram page, it's, you know, it's probably a good 50 dishes in there.
Is there any items you're looking to add to your Instagram page soon, or?
You know, we always come across good recipes. My kid all the time is asking me for the quote unquote the new. Are you gonna make a new recipe, Dad? How about something new? So that tells me the old stuff is kind of run its course. But we are always looking for the next. Wow, what is this type of thing? And we just did a lemon spaghetti that was just really just out of this world. And when you get it, you kind of lock it in, you send it to Dropbox, and you don't change it from there. That's it. And then my wife came in and she says, I want to add shrimp to that. And I said, oh, okay. So we ended up grilling the shrimp and putting it in, and it was just incredible. So, you know, there's a lot of influences that we have when we cook. It's just not us. It's what people like. What do you like? What are the tastes out there? So
yeah.
Fantastic. So in terms of, you know, any new dish that might be coming up, any thoughts to anything that's going to be added soon?
God, you know, okay, so the one thing that I've been struggling, we talked about the salmon that's been 3 years in the making.
Right.
I just can't, for some reason, I've had a hard time with the meatball sub. And I've tried it 100 different ways, and well, not 100, but you know what I mean. I mean, it's in the making, and I want to get that really good meatball sub down where you don't have to think about it anymore. This is the way it is, and this is the bread that I get. That's the stop that I make for the bread. That's so those kind of things. I make it, and it's pretty good, but it's just not. It's not one of those recipes where I don't have to think about it yet.
Got you.
So I think that's probably it.
That makes sense.
Again,
though.
it all hovers around the meatball.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's a good question, because I know like some chefs, they measure everything, and some chefs, they go on taste and they, it's a dash of this, a dash of that, where it's not exactly the same every time.
Never measure.
Okay.
Ever. Which is why the biggest disclaimer I have is I don't bake. So when we go do parties, I mean, I'm very upfront, and we just say, listen, if you want dessert, I don't go buy some ice cream. I don't know what to tell you, because we just don't do it.
Right.
We just don't. So we'll do all the apps and the main courses all day long. But when it comes to desserts and baking, and can I make a cookie? No, but Keebler makes a pretty darn good one.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, so
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, it seems like you've lived in Livingston County for a long time, Justin. So
25 years. 25? Yeah, about 25. Yeah, about 25 years we've been in Livingston County. Yeah.
Goodness.
It's been a long time.
Now, what brought you here? How did you end up in Livingston County?
Oh, man. A myriad of things. I think, my wife's job is at the University of Michigan, so we try to always stay a little central. I was always a little gun shy of Ann Arbor, so I never really wanted to do much of Ann Arbor, and I always wanted to kind of not be real close to home, so I thought, well, okay, so there's Washington out the door, and there's Oakland County out the door. Livingston just seemed like a pretty good spot. It really did. So my kids started going to daycare out here, and before you know it, they're going to school, and one graduates from Brighton, the other one's in Pinckney, and it's like, oh, I kind of love it here. And then we put a boat on the Channel Lakes for 10 years, so we got to know the other side of Livingston County. Right. Not many people know about them. Yeah, you see all those trees when you're driving out. There's lakes on the other side, and it is a totally different life.
Wow.
Completely, yeah.
Like going up north, it really...
it is. That's exactly.
R&R.
So my wife is from downriver, bless her heart, but all her friends down there, so they'll come up here once a year, and it's usually around the 4th of July. And the way they phrase it is, I don't know if I can go up north. It's like, what? Yeah. I don't know if I'm going to go up north wait a minute. I thought you were going to come out here. Yeah, up north. I'm like, we're not up north.
Right.
It's not up north. Yes, it is. My buddy who grows the basil had a buddy who asked him, he says, do you guys have convenience stores? He's like, what are you talking about? He goes, well, every time I come out there, I don't see anything. I mean, where do you go get your booze? Do you have a convenience store? And so that's the I don't know, what do you call it, stick. That's what everybody else thinks when you're not from Livingston County. They just think Livingston County is part of up north.
Right.
And we love it.
Well, no, we love it.
Yeah,
love it.
It's been great. Where's your favorite restaurant here?
They took I'll be honest, they took my favorite one down, the Mexican one that was next to Stillwater.
Okay,
yeah.
That was
on the border, right?
Yes, on the border it was, yeah. So the best pizza around, so we can do this? Yeah.
You can do this.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the best pizza around, in my opinion, is Whispering Pines Golf Course. Yes, you can actually order it there, and it's fantastic. So they have great pizza, and it's reasonably priced.
Right.
So it's a good thing. And we're Zuki fans, just because that was, you get in the boat and you can go upriver and
right.
you go have food on the deck and you get back in the boat.
There's so many
That's pretty
options there
cool,
too,
right?
though.
Yeah, no, it's unique that you can pull right up there.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's pretty cool.
Yep.
Excellent. Great. Well, and there's so many great places in Livingston County. So as we bring in guests, I do like to get people's perspectives, and it's been fun doing shout outs to different places or people or.
Yes. No, that's really good. So, one of the things I wanted to talk about in terms of just tying it together. Well, first off, I know we talked a little bit about how the business is set up and such, but if someone's sitting down to plan a meal, I know that they have to buy, you go out and you do all the shopping, and then you give them a bill and you say, hey, this is how much all the food costs. But what's the extra outlay from there if someone's trying to plan this out?
The extra outlay.
Or Or how much does it run? Like if someone wants to do this, like what's it going to run?
Well, it's we're $25 an hour. If I got to add a sous chef, it's $20 an hour. And so that's the size of the party, but you're just paying for man hours. So we charge for travel time if you're outside of Livingston County. So if you're in Livingston County, there is no travel charge. Okay. So we'll drive to your house. Now, if it's a crappy dirt road, I'm probably going to tell you about that. But, we have a lot of dirt roads out here, but that's one of the benefits to Livingston County that we offer. And a lot of great restaurants and places around here try to cater to the locals, and that's what we do. So, so if you want to use us, then no travel charge, but it's just by the hour and you buy the food. I mean, there's no hidden fees on that. Unless I have to clean your kitchen before I cook.
Right.
Then there is
Make sure
one.
to clean it.
Yeah.
So within that, are there any features that you think people are missing from their kitchens, since you have a chance to get into people's kitchens?
There is. Again, there's such a difference between a high quality gas stove and an electric gas range and the old coil tops. There is such a big difference for chefs because it really creates hot spots on pans, uneven cooks. When you get the old coils, sometimes those coils they're not level. So they'll tend to tilt one way, and then suddenly, you're getting all your sauces that might go heavy on one side of the, it's a cook's nightmare.
Right.
So upgrading like that. Space is huge. We find that more than anything in the space. You get cousin Johnny and Sally and all the kids running around, and there's just nowhere to do anything. You're banging knees with people while you're trying to cook, so space is really big. The stoves, not so much the oven. Normally, we're not sticking a whole lot in the oven just because oven creates a lot of time, and a lot of people sometimes don't pay for that kind of time. Oven dishes tend to be fairly simple too. So you put them together, you throw them in, put them in the oven. So, but nice 2-bake ovens. We talked about that. If you've got double door ovens, those are real nice too, because you can do twice the work in half the time. So those are real nice. But we always appreciate a good looking kitchen. Nice big islands. Those are nice. I mean, that is so nice because you can make a mess somewhere else and you can keep your,
Right. Especially with you doing the education, sometimes they're able to see that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right.
That's huge, because if there is no island, which sometimes you'll get a kitchen with no island, it's tough because you got to invite people over your shoulder. And again, I only got 2 shoulders, so there's not a lot of people who are going to get in and kind of see what you're doing.
Right.
In terms of kitchen trends, I would say the island is one of the big things we've seen, or even some of those breakfast bar type of things that maybe kitchens are becoming more of a social center as people are spending more time at home. That I would say putting islands in, even sometimes people will refurbish, old.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, you get some of the biggest bang for your buck in remodeling a kitchen. So, we go out and we talk to people, or we see, I mean, if someone has a spectacular kitchen, well, we're going to highlight that in a listing because, A, it's not cheap to redo your kitchen. And B, again, that's where a lot of people spend a ton of their time. And, it's interesting because, good pots make a really big difference. But, having a gas cooktop, or like you said, having the double oven, all those things make a difference. And now it's all the other little gadgets and things that people are trying to push out, the air fryers and the other things. So
it drives me nuts. Air fryer. I'm just still learning about the crock pot, right? Okay,
right.
So can we pump the brakes a little bit?
Yeah. No, that's our teenage son's favorite thing in the world. The
air fryer.
Oh yeah. He air fries everything now. It's, because he can get his chicken nuggets in 10 minutes. So it's better than before. It was the microwave. He was afraid of the oven. But, the air fryer, no problem.
Hold on, let's back up. He's known as the panini man at school.
Nice.
Because he uses our panini maker, and he usually,
He talks one teacher in every year to letting him bring a panini maker in and make paninis for the kids in class one day.
That's awesome. Well, does he need a job? As soon as I get that food truck going, he'll be cooking for me.
Hey, that sounds great.
I'll have a panini station.
There you go.
Oh, this is good stuff. And in terms of the kitchens, I think that, the kitchens are where it's at. Sometimes people will ask, hey, what about resale? Do I do this? Do I do that? Again, got to do it for yourself. But sometimes people are concerned about, well, if I, go with a gas stove, and it's like, holy cow, we've had buyers say, I can't buy this house because it doesn't have a gas stove, which we of course say you can always upgrade.
Yeah, we spend time in basements saying the gas line is here, you can do that.
Yes.
Nice.
Because you're looking at that because that's what they're looking for and such. But, I think the greatest thing with what you're doing and such is showing people, hey, my kitchen is actually capable of making good meals.
It is, yeah. I don't have one of those kitchens that we're talking about. So, we've learned to do this on not so state of the art kitchens.
Right.
So I'd love to upgrade at some point, but what we got's working right now. But definitely, I think when we were buying the house, it was a couple of things. It was master bedroom, master bath, right?
Right.
Yep.
And it was a kitchen.
Yep.
I mean, those were our things. I don't think we cared about much else.
Right.
Yeah. We've been seeing basements as a large thing that, for many, many years, people had gotten away from having a kitchen in the basement, shift over to the bar in the basement. Well, I'll tell you, I would think in the last 5 years here, especially as people are remodeling or even some of the new construction.
Or multi-generational households.
They're going back to full-out kitchens.
Yeah, because, I go into Oakland County or Wayne County showing homes, and you see some of these 1950s, 1940s houses where, they were all built exactly the same, the little brick ones.
Oh, yeah.
And they got that tiny kitchen in the basement where they had Christmas every year. One stove in the corner, a little sink.
Yeah, right.
But now these are like, kind of luxury kitchens with these huge, islands where someone can be cooking in there and, plenty of seating for people. And I think lifestyle-wise, that's working better than, sort of the old-timey, we're going to pretend like we're at Cheers, sitting around the bar. I think people's lives have changed. So
absolutely, especially in the last 2 years. I think we've found the importance of maximizing our space inside the house right now. So
And I think in the last 2 years, your business, your concept is just such a breath of fresh air in terms of having those, as we go back to being able to have dinner parties and such. I think people want to go back to, they're going back to seeing people more often, but now they want to make those dinner parties special. Now they want to be able to do the interacting and, not spending all that time in the kitchen, getting everything ready. When we do parties or we have family over, I'm cooking in the kitchen and everything. And then I yell to the kids or to her and I'm like, everything's going to be ready in 3 minutes. Set the table.
Right?
I spent all this time doing this. You all better be sitting there right now.
We need to drop everything because that's like that's the air horn. Like,
yeah, that's, we're in and out. I think probably the average dinner in Livingston County is maybe 4 hours with a clean kitchen, of course. And it's not expensive. If you have an agenda outside of the kitchen, if you're trying to host or you're trying to wrangle family or maybe you're working late or something like that, then it could be a good surprise. It can be nice. Is it something you want to do every day? No,
right.
Of course not. But every now and then, sure, yeah.
Special treat.
Yeah.
So how do people find out about this? How do they contact you?
Well, they can go to cocinadeebright.com is our website. It's Cocina, which is kitchen in Spanish, which is weird because we cook Italian food. Don't ask. And it's Cocinade, and then my last name, Ebright, EBRIGHT.com. Same thing with Instagram and Facebook. So, and again, Instagram at the time was a very easy place to put every single dish that we would do. We'd take some good pictures of it and we'd post it, and people said, well, you got to do this for a living. So people asked and we listened.
Wonderful.
Excellent. It sounds like a great idea.
Yeah,
great success.
thank you.
Do you have any
That's
other
cool.
questions?
No, I think this has been very insightful, and I wish you all the best. And I think that, like I said, I think it's something that really is going to take off. So
I hope so. I really do. All right. Yeah, I really hope. I wanted to bring food in here, but I don't think Johnny would have let me. So, yeah. So, get coffee instead.
there you go.
Italian roast.
Oh,
Yeah,
there
right?
you go.
There you go.
There you go.
Okay.
Perfect. Great. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I appreciate
Everybody,
it.
hope that you enjoyed listening today, and again, watch for our future podcasts.
Yeah, check us out online. Subscribe to our podcast. Right there online, you can see the information for contacting. and for, reaching out if you want to have a dinner party hosted or you want to check it out, and check out the Instagram, because I know I will be checking that out later today to check out all those dishes.
Awesome. Yeah. Phone number 810-355-6238. It's the only phone number you can get us at. So
wonderful.
Okay. Thanks.
Very good. Well, thanks again.
Thank you.
And welcome to Livingston.
Have a wonderful day, everyone.